for Key Issue. Look, we have a moving shot. It's moving and passionately moving, like emotionally moving. Isaac, do you have any hand gestures for today's Key Issue?
I'm actually gonna do this, one of these, or one of these. One of these.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, but I'm moving. Look at my shot. It's
as if you were moving the shot.
Whoa.
Today, my hand issues are these. My hand movements are wavy up and down movements.
This is my least favorite one. Ready? This is when directors are like, it's the shot.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I despise that one.
If we were professional filmmakers, we would know to use proper hand movements.
Which is this.
It was fun talking to Rob Curry, the Batman.
That was actually, people have been sending, actually, for real. Somebody's actually sent me comments to say, hey, that was really great. I loved that one.
Yeah, same. We had some really good feedback. I do want to say that the episode after, when we went to his place, it is old and it's less tech and it's been through some processing.
And he's younger.
What's that?
And he's younger.
He's significantly younger. But it might have some tech issues. We have had some people notice some tech issues. Sorry for that. We thought we better put it up. It's from back in the good old days when Rob Curry was just only a lad. Just a lad. Isaac, tonight we are going to face the truth.
The truth.
That you and I are cisgender white guys of a certain age.
We are. This is the awkward truth, you might put it. It's you can't not address that up front, I think, in today's day and age when it comes to talking about a subject matter. But then again, it's almost like the fact that we have to talk about it also sucks.
Well, I think we both have wives that we respect as people.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a daughter, and I respect her as a person. She's a very strong female/person. So my white cisgender maleness doesn't stop me from seeing women as people, which is good.
But I think this is that whole it gets in. This is where it goes for me, anyways. That you get into the weeds of we're addressing it because of the fact that we're talking about a female character that is inherently objectified almost every time, you might argue. But then also you could say, hey, aren't they also objectifying the male characters? And we're not in advance saying, hey, I'm a straight white man and I like these male characters the way they're drawn. We're not going there.
And by the way, we do. But there is something to be said about being sensitive to the way the male gaze depicts Wonder Woman.
100%.
And if you ever wanted to pick a character that's had a lot of male gaze interactivity over the years since 1941.
Well, issue 1, pretty much.
You have to talk about that up front. We have to say we're addressing Wonder Woman. And some of the way we're going to talk about the character of Wonder Woman is really about the art. It's about the approach of an artist to that character, because we have to think about those things.
Yeah.
We don't have to, but I think we should.
And then it's costuming and figure and pose and anatomy, and that's all part of it. And so to kind of get it off the top, we can kind of address these things and then go, yes, we're going to be talking about bodies and shapes and how things are appealing or not appealing to different tastes across the board. And when you look at even its origin, it's a contentious and, bit edgy origin, the original creator of it. everybody knows, well, anybody who looks into that history, there's even a feature film about it. I think my brother just made me aware of that tonight. I hadn't seen it yet. And it talks about, it is like a dramatization of his life and his polyamorous relationships and some of the interesting choices he was making at the time that were bleeding into the creation of that character. And I think
William Moulton Marston.
Yeah, Marsden. There you go. I'm horrible with my names off the top of my head, but I think it was a couple episodes ago, Rand, when you were talking about the seduction of the innocent, which obviously comes up an awful lot in comics. And in that scenario where they're like, hey, there's bondage and stuff in this comic. And he's like, yeah.
That's the point.
That's the point.
Well, we'll get there in a minute. A lot of people would wonder, why are we suddenly talking about Wonder Woman? Nick, overhead, please. Isaac, recently...
You got a wooden table. Oh, there it is.
Wonder Woman 759 came out. It's a David Marquez cover. It's a new creative team. I love this cover. Beautiful cover. It's sold out very quickly. It's in second print. There was an alt cover by Jim Lee, which was really nice, very Jim Lee feel. This comic book sold out. I don't know what the print run was. It's less important. it was exciting for me. The writer is Mariko Tamaki, and she is Canadian. She's from Toronto. Look at this beautiful frame. And
love
the
that.
artist, penciler, is Mikkel Janin or Janin. I don't know how you say it. It may be Michael Janin. It could be Mikkel Janin. And Jordi Belair is the colorist. And I love Mikkel Janin's art. I love that. That feels very Cho. We said because dinosaur and beautiful female character.
The perspective.
Yeah.
It's simple, but yet very complicated and well drafted.
But look at, this is what I love about this artist, Mikkel Janin. Look at the face. He's got a beautiful, clean line. Look at her face.
Yeah, clean and well acted. Like there's a lot
really
of
good,
stuff.
really, really nice.
Yeah.
And by the way, we'll find the frame to show. We talked about male and female. Give me that. Whoop! Give me that overhead again.
Bondage.
There you go, Isaac.
Oh, sorry, we weren't talking about bondage. Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, and you pointed out that is almost as if this male character is very sexualized in this pose.
He is sexualized, and this is how and I'll talk about that in a minute. But that's how I like it. I like it. Fair sexualization.
Absolutely.
I'm a straight man, but I am interested in fair play with sexualizing characters or not, as the story calls for, right? That would be when it would be fair game. Would you not think?
I agree. I think that's just it. I mean, and I actually like the idea of pushing that question out there in the scenarios where, for instance, we've spent a lot of time in the world of Conan the Barbarian, obviously, and there's like, there's a character that's as a male character very sexualized. He's very suave. He's smart. He can move through the world like a panther and can take care of himself and everybody around him. So you can, but at the same time, he's always got some gossamer clad, hardly any clothes, woman hanging off his leg. Not to say that the characters weren't well written, even for the fact that they were written in the 30s, but there is this sort of question of going, well, is there an equal balance here? Is he being objectified just as much as she is in this statue or this book cover or what have you?
And this challenge with the character of Wonder Woman goes right back to All-Star Comics number 8.
Boom. We're going to go
way back. Well, we're going to come back to talk about 759 in a minute. Let's just take a little journey here quickly.
Back through time
if you
to
go back
1941.
As long as you don't sing that Cher
No,
song.
I wasn't. I was actually it was leaning towards Back to the Future, but then I was like, I'm not going to do Huey Lewis right now.
I'm just so against that Cher song. No, listen.
You're against Cher? You just lost all our Cher fans.
It's that song.
Okay.
And the other one? What's the other one? I'm not a fan of the other one.
Yeah, when they invented auto-tuning, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I like original Cher, like, Half-Breed.
Yeah, Sonny and Cher. I got it.
Powerful Sonny and Cher. Yeah. You go back to All-Star Comics 8 in 1941. That's the first appearance. You have the creators. Now, notice how I said creators. Wonder Woman is one of those characters that is created by a team. There's a writer and there's an artist. Now, Nick, I sent you a picture. Could you pull up? There's a picture by Harry J. Peter. It's an old picture. Now, this may take some tomfoolery. Look at that, Isaac.
Wow.
That's from H.J. Peter's original design of the costume. Now, he was a cartoonist. He's 61 in 1941 when he got a hold of this character.
Holy cow.
And he's working with William Moulton Marston. I'm gonna
Molten marshmallow. Marvin.
Yeah, exactly. Molted marshmallows. Marston and Peter are working on this character, and they did a very kind of Art Nouveau style. So the artist has changed his style. She's very stylish, very cool, and his notes are there.
Yeah,
I found this online. We did not make this.
Look
of
at
course.
the boots. There's a little boot heel.
The weirdness about a tag team designing a character is, you kind of forget the artist. But Harry Peter, and that name is unfortunate. We're going to say it a few times. It's unfortunate. He, believe it or not, along with Marston, was a feminist. They supported feminism at a time when I don't know that was even, you wouldn't say that a lot, feminism, and suffragettes and all of this. And I'm going to read a quote. He said he was given the note. She had to look as powerful as Superman, as sexy as Miss Fury, as scantily clad as Sheena the Jungle Queen, and as patriotic as Captain America. So that cover costume design had a mandate, and that mandate was a bit of this modern style compared to what Peter had been doing before. And we know that Marston had a political agenda as well. He was polyamorous, as you said, and he, weirdly enough, the creator of the lie detector machine, and everybody knows
Wasn't he
the
a
polygraph.
co-creator of that too?
Pardon me?
Wasn't he a co-creator of that as well?
Yeah, that polygraph inventor.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about those two, men of a certain age, like us, old white guys, they wanted to instill this figure with a lot of female power for a reason. And so some of the codified sexuality that's in these early ones, these early comics we're going to talk about, it doesn't necessarily play as sensitive now to female thinking, but that was their best effort back then. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
So what would it cost me if I wanted to get All-Star Comics? Say I wanted a 9.0.
Oh, well, I think if we went at a 5.0,
yeah,
then we're looking at about $39,600.
Yeah, that's...
A typical sale at a 5.5 average is a $52,000 investment in a pocket change for us. Oh my God. I didn't even scroll down to this one.
Look at the highest rated one.
I just scrolled to it. I had actually, to be fair, I hadn't even opened this page until now. $411,000. Well, sorry, 411 and one.
That comic is, if you were going to look at important comics in history, that is one of the top few. There are 3 characters at DC called the Trinity: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. And you decide what order you say them in. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman is normally how I've heard it.
Yeah.
But Wonder Woman no less important than the other 2. And you want to get those incredibly valuable comics.
Wow. Even the bottom basement 0.5 poor piece of crap condition is still a $7,000, $7,500.
They're not making any more of All-Star Comics number 8.
Average raw value at $5,300. This is a big heavy hitter. We haven't opened a lot of heavy hitters on this show yet.
No,
it's a big one.
And by the way, the Wonder Woman piece is a small part of the full story. I mean, you find out about Hawkeye and so on. You get a kind of a full range of the characters that are on the cover there. And I believe they have a wrong credit for the art. The actual artist is the artist Harry Peter or H.J. Peter. Now, what if we want to jump to Sensational? Is it Sensational or Sensation Comics 1?
Sensation Comics 1, November 5th, 1941.
That's within several months of that first one coming out.
Yeah.
We have her second appearance. It's the cover that makes this pretty exciting.
Oh,
it's
and
very
this is a
well regarded. This
classic. There's the image that has been seen many, many times. So, there's something about perspective back in the day. There's something wrong with her feet.
Listen, she's awkward looking.
Yes, she is awkward looking in this frame. Her feet are about 7 sizes too small.
This is the problem. And she's looking a little heavy, like she's been drawn to be a little too... She wouldn't move well.
No, but she's really deflecting those bullets aimed right at her wrists.
You can't shoot her.
Because of her wrists.
And that's, again, a Harry Peter cover. And again, it's difficult to say that. It's an H.J. Peter cover. Yeah.
I cannot laugh at that.
What am I going to get that one for, Isaac? Let's say I think it's easier and cheaper than...
Its average raw is more. It's $8,000, but that's a few years ago.
Unfortunate.
But its highest graded known value at 8.5 is only $150,000.
That was an 8.5?
That's an 8.5 is $150,000.
I don't think I can. Yeah, I can't get that.
You don't have that?
No.
What if could you pull it out of your house? If you mortgage your house, would your wife still be okay with that? Or
I don't know that even, I don't think I have a body part. I don't have an organ like a kidney of mine. None of it is going to get me close to that.
What about an echidna? Can you sell an echidna?
But that maybe, let's jump to Wonder Woman 1. Normally, you think Wonder Woman 1 is the one. That is not the case here.
But this is a great cover. Oh my God.
It's a beautiful cover. It's a retold origin. So we basically are getting the same feel again, but fleshing out the bones a little bit. And now I can afford to get
Raw comic. You could get what? You could get this for $24?
That's a reprint.
That's a reprint. Sure. Okay, yeah. But
there you go.
8.5 is 163,000. No, there's got to be a mistake here because it still says raw comic sale is $24.
That's
wrong because graded average is 23,000.
We're misreading some information there.
No, that's how it's listed here.
You're really defending this. That seems like an error.
It seems like I believe there to be an error here, because when you go down the list, the averages are the lowest. Again, 0.5. Poor is a $6,300 purchase.
So again, we have the retold origin. And for people that don't know the origin by now, I mean, you must have seen the movie, the recent film from 2017. That's kind of the thing. The island, the Amazons, the group of women that find this man there. And
but like you say, it's a very Art Nouveau. Like, the cover is great. It's got this,
awesome.
You can pull it up there, Nick, on the screen. It's got that, that awesome
rad.
style, and it's the same. You can tell it's the same artist, but it's awkward proportions, but it's not the worst. But the fact that she's riding the battle on this horse with the World War I soldiers, they look like British soldiers too, which is rad. And pretty awesome.
you can feel the feeling of the film.
Oh yeah.
So even people that aren't familiar with the comic story, they would see this and they would say, hey, I get it. I know what's happening there.
Yeah.
Now, what's more relevant for the forthcoming Wonder Woman movie that we would have seen by now, except for COVID, thanks COVID, Wonder Woman 6 is the first appearance of Cheetah. Cheetah, one of her great foes, being played in the film by, I've just totally dropped her name, Kristen. Can you believe this happened to me?
Usually it doesn't. So I'm surprised. This is a first, everybody. You're seeing it here. Randall.
Everybody knows I had a recent concussion. I mean, we laugh, but it's actually true.
It's true and unfortunate. Now, what I really want to talk about on this cover.
Yes. So you have the 6 cover up?
I have the 6 cover up. Who the hell is the background cast in this cover?
There are some questions to ask.
And I'll admit, I haven't read this one in preparation for the show.
No.
So I don't know who the little person is in the front row.
Etta Candy.
You're kidding.
Her
name is Etta Candy?
Yeah, I know.
What?
Yep. She's a chubby, often depicted as a chubby woman who is
very short.
Diana Prince's best friend. The perspective is not helping her there.
No.
I mean,
She
unfortunate.
She's
it's a bad name.
But yeah, she ate some candy.
Yeah, it's not, you wouldn't, this is a different time, guys. That came out in the early 40s, and we're not going to go too deep into that. Notice how we're skipping forward, because we're actually not going to spend too much time talking about
the whole point of this episode is the modern stuff, but you got to hit the heavy hitters.
But we're building our well, you know what we do.
Yeah, first appearance. We got a first appearance here of the Cheetah character. It doesn't actually list that here, by the way. But it's a.
But this Cheetah character will become important to people who see her in the film, the forthcoming film.
Yeah,
being played by Kristen from Saturday Night Live. And I can't say her name. And I had a concussion, and we've all learned something about
Well, you
me
can use
today.
Google anytime. And
we can Google it later.
Yeah. But, and you can see it trending up right now as of the end of April this year. It's trending up at 21%.
Yeah, it was supposed to be out by now. But you can get this for a very small price of about $25,000, right?
About $25,000 at a 9.2. Raw value is about $1,100. That's a little bit more on point than $24.
Again,
average grade at 7.5 is an $8,500.
It's a big buy. It's a big buy.
Yeah.
But let's race forward to Wonder Woman 98, and you're going to say, Rand, why did you go forward to 98? Well, because, hey, it's the Silver Age, guys. Do you remember the Silver Age?
Totally.
Golden Age, now Silver Age. It means we're out in the 50s. We're past sort of
almost to the 60s.
What's that?
We're almost to the 60s.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're past the seduction of the innocent issue. So I think we're about 56.
58.
You would think I would have written that down.
58.
58.
Yeah.
What we have here is he's an artist that doesn't get a lot of respect. And you'll say, what do you mean doesn't get a lot of respect? If you're listing all the top artists, you don't put Ross Andrew up there. But if you, like The Punisher, Ross Andrew was co-creator of The Punisher with Jerry Conway.
That's pretty
And
rad.
I believe Jerry Conway's quote was that Ross Andrew was one of the best at spatial structure for the background, like for creating a place for things that were happening. And a lot of artists would shortcut, and Ross Andrew would not do that. So that Spider-Man 129, ASM 129, you got that Ross Andrew art there. Punisher looks really cool. We'll talk about that another day. Ross Andru, co-creator of The Metal Men. Very interesting. And what I like about Ross Andru, by the way, the writer here was Robert Kanigher, but we're really trying to focus on artists when we talk about Wonder Woman. What's interesting is Ross Andru was known for making Peter Parker super handsome, and also for the female characters that he drew in Spider-Man later. But if you go and look up Ross Andru, Peter Parker handsome, you'll see a Peter Parker that does not look like a Ditko Peter Parker. He's very handsome. He looks like a model. He's very stylish. And Ross Andru coming in there with this really suave look. He was known for faces. What we find in 98 is this idea of a kind of modern Wonder Woman for the 50s, for the post-seduction of the innocent time, and recrafting the origin story, sort of bringing her up to this new era. And this team, Ross Andru and Robert Kanigher, would be a collectible. That's their first issue, that 98. What would it be for me to get in there, Isaac, if I'm going to buy that?
Well,
would it be?
I just have the cover up first before I get down the numbers.
You have that nice cover.
Yeah, and I just want to make a mention, like the first thing I noticed when you were talking about the backgrounds, and obviously this doesn't have a very detailed background for a cover, but the waves and the log, I actually see very like obviously before that, but it's very Buscema a little bit, eh? Like in the water. I don't know, for some reason that reminds me of something that he would be doing in like Conan or something like that.
He's got good control. He does have good spatial structure there. Like remember the other Wonder Womans you were looking at, the older.
Yeah.
They were a little bit spatially funky.
Yeah. Oh, it's a pricey book. 7.5 is $11,000.
Well, the first Silver Age Wonder Woman with the new origin and the new team.
Raw value at over $1,000. Typical grade at a 3 is an $892 book. So yeah, it's not these aren't small easy buys that you find in a dollar bin.
These are commitments.
These are commitments.
Let's fast forward. Wonder Woman 178.
1968, exactly 1 decade later.
10 years later, has the world changed? Isaac, you pull that one up and you'll see exactly what we're talking about.
Psychedelic, anybody?
What we have here is the artist Mike Sekowsky. And Dick Giordano inks, by the way. Mike Sekowsky, Denny O'Neil, I believe. Did not Denny O'Neil write this?
You tell me.
Well, let's just say that he did.
Okay.
Mike Sekowsky is known for really capturing the late 60s. I think that cover lets you know this is
do you think it's something to
true.
do with this really interesting patterning in the plasticky pants that she's wearing?
To me, it feels Steranko inspired.
It's awesome. It actually feels like I'm looking at a throwback Austin Powers thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty rad.
Is rad.
Yeah.
And in this run, I think he did some writing too, if I'm not
Holy
mistaken.
cow, man! These books aren't cheap, man. This book itself is up 472%.
It's very important.
On the up.
It started this in the late 60s into the early 70s. They really focused on Diana Prince, the character that, Wonder Woman's alter ego. Right. And I think there was a lot of spy stuff. Like they were influenced by, if I'm not mistaken, that British show The Avengers, and the actress Diana Rigg played a character in that.
James Bond too. It's that kind of.
It's got that spy vibe, which I really like and I think is cool. And that's an issue I'm actually looking for. I like the cover. I've seen it a few times, but it's expensive.
It's expensive, but Raw Comic is still says typical sale at $23.50, and I think that's because those numbers. They weren't seeing this big jump that happened as of July 17th of this year. Like it's on its way up, this one. So
who are these fools grabbing these titles?
Yeah, I mean, like this was listed a couple of years ago at $68 at an 8 or an 8.5 at $250. Like you would have been smart to grab it when you saw it.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I know that. But
now,
here's the other thing you're going to put this in your little brain. Mike Sekowsky also did the cover to Brave and the Bold 28. That's that Starro, the first Justice League. You have that one there too,
boom,
right?
there it is. Yeah. That's probably not.
That's a very important, that's the first Justice League, but also here's Wonder Woman in the Justice League.
Yep.
And that one's going to set me back. It's probably only about a few $100, $200, $300.
It's only about $77,675.
That's disappointing.
Yeah. Average raw value at $1,283. Can we get some comics that we can afford here?
We're going to get there. We're going to get there.
I can't afford
any
of them.
The other good thing, Sekowsky went on to do Scooby-Doo.
That's not surprising.
Right? Capture the feel of the era.
That's
He's
the
very
era.
skilled at that.
Yeah.
Okay. we're gonna go really quick now, because what you start to notice as you go in the time periods that we're dealing with, Wonder Woman reflects the time period, and then it's where the artist becomes important. So I'm going to go very quickly. There's the Wonder Woman one with George Perez, that reboot. Everybody knows. Did you pull that one up, Isaac?
No,
we really didn't get you to go for that one, did you?
No.
There's a Wonder Woman one. Everybody knows it. It's a George Perez. It's very liney. You got to go find that one. We're not going to go there. But George Perez's Wonder Woman, very beautiful, very big hair, very 80s. Then we have the Wonder Woman 83 Brian Boland cover, sometimes called the Point Blank, where it's that Brian Boland look. She's a bit punky looking and someone's holding a gun to her head. You go find that one. That's interesting because this is part of our thesis that we're building to. Then you have, of course, Kingdom Come with the Golden Eagle armor, which is important. Kingdom Come 3, that's the Alex Ross, that Golden Eagle armor that you're going to see in the Wonder Woman movie coming up. That beautiful armor. Go get Kingdom Come 3. You can get that pretty cheaply. And then there's Wonder Woman 28, which is the J.G. Jones steampunk variant. Again, a very strange Wonder Woman. And that's our thesis. Our thesis is it becomes this is where I'm starting to think, I'm collecting Wonder Woman now. I recently, I got into a little bit of a collecting mode with these, and I started looking back at the 99, 2000, 2001, the Adam Hughes covers. And that's what got me looking through this thesis. So we'll go back to our 759 for a minute, right?
Yeah.
We know with our 759, we have a nice cover. That's a Marquez cover, but it looks like that Mikel Janin style. And you know that we looked inside. I like the Mikel Janin. I like the Mariko Tamaki story. I like that she herself describes herself as a queer comics writer. She writes about gender. She writes about issues that would be maybe from a female perspective. And so the art, I love this panel.
That's so rad. Yeah.
He's a good actor, right?
Yeah.
Mikel Janin.
Oh, yeah.
Very liney. He was an architect. Oh, but look at her face.
Oh, that's not surprising. The draftsmanship
just beautiful.
Here. The draftsmanship is
That's
amazing.
right.
Yeah.
The draftsmanship is beautiful. So, oh my God, the action sequence.
Yeah.
So this title coming out and seeing it got me going out, and I recently got a Wonder Woman stack. And I'm going through the stack and I'm looking at some stuff, and we're going to pull some of it out.
Well, you know, Rand, as you're doing that, it's something that struck me when you were talking about Wonder Woman through the ages and being almost representative of the time and place. Would you speculate maybe that is it just this character, or is it female characters maybe represent time and place more so than male characters? I mean, Spider-Man hasn't changed almost at all since his inception. Like, is there something to be said there that when you're looking at feminine hair and dress and perception and how they are looked upon in society throughout history, do we not see more of a reflection in a character like Wonder Woman?
They're more, the female characters are more at the mercy of the fashion of the time period, because I think that's a male version of thinking about how a female character would be of the time period.
Exactly.
That's probably the case. And that's why I like that Mariko Tamaki is coming in. I think I called her Tanaka a minute ago. And so I wanted to double check. Mariko Tamaki comes in, and she's this example that happens. Sometimes you get the female character written by the female author, and you get a different take, and you get to invest maybe a little more strength in the character in a way that doesn't have that idea of the male perspective, which seems more outside, right? More external looking in as opposed to internal looking out. So I think I read in, because she's Canadian, she got in the CBC. She wanted to look at justice. What is justice? And who is justice for? And, you know, in this time of Black Lives Matter and the protests, I think she has a really great 10-issue run where she's going to dig into this. So you have that infusing it. So you're right. But the thing that we want to talk about reflects sort of where the conversation is. What are you doing with Wonder Woman, frequently male artists? What are you doing with her on that cover? And that's kind of this idea. When I bought this pile, not a giant pile, just a bunch, I started putting them all out, and I'm looking at the covers. I'm saying, I see exactly the conversation. If I was a female collector, I would maybe have some thoughts about these covers. So let's quickly talk about where, just because of the collecting that I was doing, I came in with, I think, the Adam Hughes run started in 98. So that was 139 to 146, 150 to 161, 164 to 174, 176, 178, and then 184 to 197. Now, Nick, if you'll give me the overhead, this one was the standout for me, Isaac.
Yeah. That's a nice throwback cover.
There's your throwback Wonder Woman in that old style, and then the very cheesecakey Adam Hughes. Now, it's not... I'm kind of torn on Adam Hughes.
I am as well. I think that when we went through that stack, a lot of it feels almost like well, there's a story there on that one. We'll get to.
Well, I know that you don't like it because you see.
Well, it looks like they look like photographs
You
that have
see
been
rat.
posterized. Not. It's like almost just drawn over paintings. That one's not so. Yeah, that's there too. It looks like they're drawn over photographs. They're like, here's a person. So it's like the Boris Vallejo problem.
So
but I
this
mean,
was
I don't
a-
want to bag on the guy. He's obviously very
No, he's
talented.
very talented.
Yeah.
But it is a very male gaze look. It's
What-
very pin up, and everybody knows.
What year is the one you just tossed to the side there?
This one would be 2003.
Okay, so that's before then. Okay, that looks,
This is recent. This
Yeah.
is a 750. This came out. It's a variant that came out with a 750 celebration.
yeah.
I bought it because I was looking at the other ones. And what was really striking me was the makeup, the use of makeup on her. I like this one a little better. But again, she's very sexualized.
Yeah. It's like it's worse than Baywatch. I mean, they're almost always putting her in a bathing suit. I like it when they actually, let's put some armor on her, even if it's never enough. Make it a little bit more realistic.
The Hughes stuff is really, it's well received. And some of them, here's an example. That's very, it's very pin-uppy. She's got a lot of makeup on.
She looks like Liv Tyler almost. Oh.
It's pretty cool.
It's cool, but it looks like the cover of a heavy metal magazine in
That's exactly
1998. Like it's like you're in that pinup, or even earlier than that. It looks like late 70s, early 80s pinup.
But this one's more stylized. It's a little more interesting. It's less cheese.
But I think this is where you can very easily dive down the road of how come it's always in that realm with this character until people start
his
moving away.
Approach.
Well, yeah, with this. Kind of
he
pinup-y
softens her features a lot.
Yeah.
And well, let's take a look at a couple of John Burns from around the same time.
Right. This is the one you said is very childish. It's very childlike, very simple on the.
Now John Byrne, if you remember from our X-Men talk, he was one of my favorite X-Men artists, and especially let's look at her posture here. Like she's got a nice little bit of acting, but she looks childlike.
She looks like she's a young teenager.
And he hasn't made her pneumatic. He hasn't sexualized her, right? She's very lithe, and she's just. I mean, it somehow looks childish to me.
Well, it looks
which
like
I like.
Well, I mean, it is in that realm of. It's still you can't. I don't know. I personally don't think you can say that it's not sexualized, but the fact that the costume is so revealing.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. It's like it's so bloody revealing, and then it gets because it's childlike, it's almost a little bit.
But her acting isn't sexualized.
Sure.
Guess,
Yeah.
I
mean,
mean,
she's not.
look at her actions there.
But this is that whole conflict between because she's not super curvy and huge tits, does that mean that she's not sexualized, or is she just as sexualized because she's wearing almost nothing and everybody else is wearing a lot of tights that are more covering?
Well, if you think about the musculature of the male characters,
sure,
they have maybe oftentimes more distractive elements around the musculature, like a cape or something.
Sure, yeah,
and
or even
in
the
her
design
case,
there's nothing.
She doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this takes us to Frank Cho.
Yeah.
And he's somebody we've shot with before. We can cut to a little interview.
Mm-hmm.
This book is filled with sexualization.
Yeah.
Here's a little Frazetta influence panel.
Totally, yeah.
From 1998, right around the same time that Adam Hughes is doing what he's doing.
Yes. Now,
you and I both agree on some things about Frank Cho.
Well, first and foremost, I mean, he wrote a book, How to Draw Beautiful Women. Like he's 100. That's what it's called. It's literally what the book is called. And I mean, so he's known for a very specific, it's almost, and I hesitate to say this because it almost takes away something, I think, is he almost draws the same woman for every single female character.
It really seems like it to me.
Yeah, but he is saying this is my taste. It's right up here up front. And he is known for this really bizarre moment in time where I mean most comic fans will know of the white variant covers where it has the title block and it's blank so that an artist at a convention can draw on that cover and do a custom cover for you at a convention. So right around that, the August 2014, an artist by the name of Milo Manera did a Spider-Woman variant cover that destroyed the internet because it was her. Like, you can go and look for it online. Basically, it's Spider-Woman crawling up over the edge of a building and her buttocks is way up in the air and it's incredibly sexual. So it really pissed off a lot of people. When that exploded the internet, Frank Cho went, okay, I'm going to play this game.
Yes.
And he went way deep into doing variant after variant after variant of that same pose, the exact same pose with Spider-Woman, Spider-Gwen, and then really taking it a step further and going with Harley Quinn and Wonder Woman and making it this nod joke where he's like, you know, my favorite in this line that he was doing is Harley Quinn is in this pose and she goes, how long do I have to hold this pose, Mr. J, to the Joker? And he goes, until the internet explodes, dear. This pose is so last year.
And he's making a joke.
Commenting on it.
He's making a joke, but he also is serious.
He's exactly my point.
Because
he's like,
she is sexualized. That position, that posture that
100%.
the character is in is very sexualized.
Yeah, and then when Wonder Woman is in it, Batman's peeking up over the top behind her butt and says, what are you doing? And then she goes, please go viral, please go dry. I'm trying to boost the popularity of my book. So he was doing this joke that is on its face. He's like, okay, internet, come on, take me out. And I don't really get what he was trying to do. And this article I was reading here is actually in Heavy Metal magazine, and they were almost a little judgmental of him in this article, which is actually interesting for a magazine like Heavy Metal.
Ironic.
Which is ironic.
Yeah.
But he was well known for these uber sexualized, but he's not hiding it. He's saying, this is my taste, this is what I like. And then so is he, you know, objectifying or I mean, yes, he is. But I mean, when he goes and does his serious covers, and he was supposed to do 24 covers for the Wonder Woman variants for DC, and when he was going in there, he's putting her in armor. She's strong. She looks like she could actually. Give us an overhead, Nick. She can, like, the number one is phenomenal. Pull up that number.
Here's the one.
Yeah, that number one. Like, look at the pose of that character. I mean, I personally like the fact that he's pushing her into a realm of, she's, many people, myself as a, you know, attempting to be an artist, many people would criticize the women characters that I would draw as being too muscular. People aren't going to like that. People aren't going to buy that because she's not thin enough. And I'm like, that looks like a woman that actually could defend herself and be the most powerful woman in the world or the universe.
Yeah,
right?
She looks amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that I
and
applaud
this is the one.
Now, this is the one where he comes along and the writer doesn't like the fact that she is too sexual. Now, the original drawing, you could see her full butt cheek on the bottom right of the frame there. And it was basically the skirt was flying up and you can see like basically the underwear line and her butt cheek was there. The writer didn't like it and pushed DC. Yeah, he pushed DC to crop in. And Frank said, oh yeah? All right, we'll screw you. And he walked. So he left after 6 issues because of this. But that writer didn't like him because of this whole thing he was doing with the Spider-Gwen.
But let's talk about what Frank Cho brings artistically.
Right, exactly.
Like, look at the line work.
I wish I can remember the name of what he's doing there, but in the background there's a specific like Renaissance era art form that he is mimicking, where it's almost this etched, almost woodblocky kind of etched line work that harkens back to an ancient form of art that he is masterful at with cloth and
his line work is insane.
It's
his
stunning.
figure drawing is beautiful. His faces are really, really nice. Look how, I mean,
but there again, look, most of her legs are covered. Most of her torso is covered. She's got a cape on. She's wearing she has a shield. Like, in one hand, he's pushing the assets and he's making her sexual, but on the other hand, he's also not, you know, putting her in a bathing suit.
I'm just going to quick jump back and say those Adam Hughes books in that run are the valuable ones in that run.
Right, of course.
Like when other writers did the covers, they're a third the price. They're all like, some of them are around, you know, $15-16, but if you get them in 9/8, they can be $75, right? So there's an appeal for certain people, for collectors. A lot of collectors are male, and they are, they're buying things that they like. But look at Liam Sharp, who was the artist who did the interior. This is his Wonder Woman 1. Again, we have a very talented artist, and he was known for horror. He's taken a different approach. She's beautiful, beautiful face work, little darker, a little more
It's an interestingly layered, it's a layered cover, too.
That's right. And he's really good. But he's hit more horror elements. He doesn't feel like cheesecake, so it ennobles the character a little differently. I'm not saying anything negative about Cho. You buy those, you know what you're getting. I like his design, I like his line, I like his figure work. The fact that they're sexualized doesn't detract for me. It makes me sometimes feel a little bit like, am I participating in something unintended?
Yeah.
For me, but it is intended by other people, and that's where I have a conflict. I like Frank. We interviewed him, and he was great. He was really smart, and I think he talked a little bit about the whole controversy too, if I'm not mistaken.
He may have, and I'm not sure if that was in that interview or not, but I mean, like, and that one's an easy get. I mean, the number 3 that he did, the DC Rebirth, just pulled it up here on Covrprice. It's only like $5 raw comic value, but yet that's interesting. It's an interesting key issue, I think, in terms of a collectability. You go, this is the one that kicked him off, or he pulled himself out because of the fact that, again, they adjusted his art because in this one instance they thought it was too much, and you go, this was too much, where everything else that's come and gone before, they're gonna attack this one, and I'm going, I don't know. I think that he was maybe being a little less sexual with her than other artists have and still are.
Let's pull up the Azarello Chang here. This is the new 52 Wonder Woman, Cliff Chang, and Cliff Chang's work I really like. People know Cliff from other stuff. Paper Girls, I believe. It's nice. It's modern feel. Horror influence in that panel. Let's go to the panel I like. Where's that? There. Normally I'm not so keen on some of the newer stuff. Is she sexualized? Is she not sexualized?
Of course she is.
Right?
Yeah. But we often talk about it as if it's a massive problem, but sex is part of all of these stories in life.
There's a difference between sexualizing a female character and taking away some of her agency and some of her attributes that are meaningful, her character, herself, whatever, her mind, her abilities, her talents, her superpowers, blah, 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 and then focusing on this pneumatic construction of her body or focusing on parts of her body. What if you get a female artist? Like I like Renee DeLise. Here's another Wonder Woman 1, The Legend of Wonder Woman. And it's a very, I may be saying her name wrong, Renee DeLise. It's stylized, and, let's get one of those panels. Where's one of those panels? There we have some female characters of different ethnicities and different sizes and different shapes. And I think that's what you get from a female artist. You get the sensitivity to the depictions of characters.
And acting and storytelling.
Yeah, I liked this series. I think she did a great job. And again, I'm buying in. I'm coming in on purpose and looking for different visions of Wonder Woman. These are very easy to get. You can begin collecting these. They don't cost much. They're not much more than cover, any of them.
Yeah.
Let's go to Art Germ. And again, this is maybe more down the road where Isaac is not as keen, and I
like the one in the right there.
You like this one,
yeah,
but he's very digital.
Yeah, it's very digital, but it's also that even though it's digital, it's pushing in towards of painting rather than line art illustration.
Totally, yeah.
And I like that. I like, even if it's done well. I personally obviously like stuff that's done on a canvas or by hand, but that's very, 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 very rare now. especially in color. It just doesn't make sense. But yeah, no, the one on the right, it's fantastic.
It's nice.
Yeah,
I like her expression too. She's got some good acting going on there.
Yeah.
This one less so. This is a little more pin-uppy for me.
Yeah, that's very pin-uppy.
And he's got a way of doing faces that makes me think
touch anime.
Anime.
Yeah, touch anime. There.
Now, I believe he's from Singapore, so he has an aesthetic that is perhaps Eastern in some way, that he's maybe from an anime. Like my white man ignorance here, I'll be the first to say it. He may be influenced in a way that there's a certain thing he brings in that we're not sensitized to if we don't watch the same shows.
Exactly.
The same material.
Yeah.
And so you would say, if you don't know much about Art Germ, Stanley Lau, why did you buy it? Because I'm going back and I'm getting Wonder Womans and I'm catching up.
Yeah.
Something that I really liked, you and I talked about this one.
Oh, this is phenomenal. That's just
Matteo Scalera. This is a variant. This is Wonder Woman 63. Oh, sorry, this was 65, and it's a round cover. And this is 63. I really like this. Now let's break this down. You had some good things to say about it. I said it was anime, so I wondered if you would like it. But you pointed out some other elements.
Well, I mean, it is anime from a kind of a posy content and how the action is happening. The eyes are slightly bigger, sure, which does indicate anime, but not over so. It's definitely the anime action moment where you're really diving into the ground.
Floor tear, yeah.
Oh, I love it because it gives her so much weight and so much power, because whatever is happening in that action moment, the skirt and the straps around her body and her hair, the motion and movement of everything in this frame. And it's also one of those moments where if he's doing it digitally, he's really making it feel like it's done by hand. If he's doing it by hand, then awesome. And it's also, if you pulled the color out of that, which is obviously a very monochromatic piece anyway, or very black and white, if you pull the color out, man, it still stands on its own.
It does.
Like, it's so perfectly done.
How come her buttock here is less sexualized than Frank Cho's depiction of her buttock?
Exactly. Yeah, because it was, in his version, it was just the big round buttock right in the front, the foreground.
So there's something about the way that the depiction that Scalero gets here somehow dodges that concern.
Exactly. And maybe it's also, it appears that she's in the middle or the throes of a battle, much more believable, I guess you can say, that's the moment that she's in. It looks less posy, I guess I could say. It looks like it really is taken right from the moment of action, which is awesome.
I just brought one, Jenny Frison, or Frizen, I don't know how people are saying it. She did a run of Wonder Woman covers.
Wow.
Just absolutely
interesting light work
gorgeous.
In the color there, isn't it?
This is Wonder Woman 57. I love all Jenny Frison's work. Again, you have a female artist, and a lot of her work, if you look at it, she looks like she seems to be using Jennifer Connelly for reference.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much this one. Beautiful color, desexualized. Horrified, like turned into a horror trope.
Mm-hmm.
I think that gives us another way of looking at the character, which is really interesting.
The lighting effect and the coloring is phenomenal. It pops.
Yeah, you go look at her covers, and they're all gorgeous. So we've come to this point where if you're buying in, like what I'm doing, I'm seeking to get these, Mark, our partner here, Mark has been a passive Wonder Woman fan over the years. We all saw the movie. Everybody I know saw the movie. Mm-hmm. And there are a couple scenes in that movie that are so impactful. Her coming out of the trench, putting up the shield, all the men are shooting her. You feel, for me, that was a very emotional moment. Yeah. Just all these men shooting at her and she's blocking it.
I can hear the soundtrack to that moment.
That's right. It's
so rad.
Very powerful, very impactful moment. And what hit me was in that moment, like the idea of the gender structure, the meaningful elements of that gender structure. And again, I'm probably reading into it. I'm a white straight guy of this age, but I felt that power and I wondered what a young woman would think. And so over the years, I thought I should be reading Wonder Woman. Started buying it, started looking at it, and I started seeing all these trends and thinking, when did you first see Wonder Woman? Isaac, when did I first see Wonder Woman? How did she appear? Yeah. Who's Wonder Woman? Which artist? And that really it says a lot about how you think of that character. Is she a B tier character to someone like you, or I'm curious.
I think it was, to me, it's just the big three of DC. I don't think that I was aware or not aware of her existence at any one time any more than I wasn't aware of Batman at any one time. I don't remember when I first heard of Batman, So I think
gender affect your thought?
I think that the only way that I could say that gender specifically affected my thought was the fact that there are just so few female characters of note in comic books that have been given the chance or given the platform,
or in front of you.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean that placed in front of me from a pop culture decision-making perspective, that somebody's out there going, nope, girl characters don't sell. Rey from Star Wars doesn't sell toys. We're not going to make those either. Those decisions are still to this day being made that, unfortunately, you go, it is so crazy that we're seeing Wonder Woman in that film stepping out of that trench, and how powerful that is, because we're going, that's powerful because it was done well and it was told well and it was acted well. But it's also powerful because when was the last time you saw that happen in a movie? So it's so rare that you're like, holy shit, taken aback by what that means above and beyond just even the execution of it, as I guess you could say. So in other words, it was the fact that she was a female character growing up was noticeable because she was one of the only ones that I would have noticed. Other than, I should say, I did know Supergirl, because I think I watched that horrible was it Supergirl or Superwoman movie that was really bad. But I used to rent it all the time. Maybe I had a crush on that character. I don't know. I don't remember.
For me, it was, funny enough, the TV series with Linda Carter.
Totally wouldn't. I never saw it.
No, you're too young. Yeah. But in the 70s, when you're a kid in a small town and you have such a craving for comic book content, whatever that is, and one of the few that really, I mean, it's probably corny. I haven't watched it since then. But it really hit me was Wonder Woman. I thought, oh my God, here's Wonder Woman. And I loved it.
Was that Lou Scheimer? Am I crazy? I gotta look that up.
I don't think so.
I gotta look that up.
It had elements to it that were obviously corny or ridiculous, or she was being sexualized, or whatever you want to say. But as a young boy, when that came out, I didn't watch it thinking about it, except that it was a comic character that I could see that I thought was awesome. And, you would go back and look at it now and probably find all the problems. But I just took it for what it was. And it's nice, you go and you look into this $7.59 that's sold out. It doesn't mean it's going up in value. It's probably worth right now, I don't know, $17, $18 rather than cover price. And that's just because of the buzz after that $7.59 sells out. But you find out that writer was influenced by the TV series as well. And she's writing on it now and trying to find deeper elements to put into the character. So
sorry, I was correct myself. Sorry to cut you off. I'm gonna correct myself. I was thinking Lou Scheimer, who is the creator of He-Man and cartoons like that, he did Isis.
Yes.
Not Wonder Woman.
Very different.
Unfortunate name.
There was Isis, there was Electro Woman and Dyna Girl, and there was Wonder Woman in around like a 5 or 6 year period. You had these female characters. You had the Bionic Woman.
Yeah.
So you did see that they were attempting to do something with these powerful images of female characters, but they were couched in the language of the era. So
I think it makes sense if you looked at that era in television. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that era is that around the time that Lou Ferrigno was doing the Hulk as well? Is that around that time? So if I'm not mistaken, that time people like to think that things were more violent or on television. But no, that was the most tame and brutal era in television because it was so sensitized.
Wow.
So it's not surprising that they were going, okay, well, the Hulk can't do anything violent, so let's maybe bring in female characters because that'll get us by the censors or the gatekeepers, so to speak, that were stopping them from being able to, the most violent thing on television was the Dukes of Hazzards driving through a bale of straw and jumping over a bridge.
There's no way that could be true. Is that true?
Yeah, that when you look at that, it was in this book I was reading on why violence is important in media for children. I know that sounds odd, but it's an interesting book. But that was what he was reflecting on, is the fact that this era of TV that you're talking about is really bad. Like Lou Ferrigno would be like, I'm hulking, and then he throws somebody into a swimming pool. And that was like the most violent you could go. So when things like in the early 80s come out, when He-Man has a sword.
Well, you're
and
going to talk
things-
about She-Ra now because we know
that's
about
right,
She-Ra.
because it goes down that path. That was radical coming out of the 70s. We think of the 70s as, oh my God, the television must have been it wasn't. It was the tamest, most boring
the
television.
TV was. The movies were different.
Right. Movies were different. I'm talking only television, broadcast television. And it does so it's not surprising then that you had characters like Wonder Woman and Isis being very popular, I think, because then the censors are going, or the producers were looking at it going, the censors are going to let this go through because it's a female character, and thus we don't expect her to be as violent as the Hulk would be.
We just went down a rabbit hole.
That was a good rabbit hole. I like that.
But the rabbit hole to me is about this. How do you get female characters on the same platform as male characters for males to be interested in and to buy and enjoy?
But if you look at that, they haven't done that much since. So from the 80s, 90s, and it wasn't until the last couple of years that they start bringing that platform. Oh, okay, now we've done Iron Man, we've done Avengers, we've done all these things. Okay, now we'll bring in a Wonder Woman movie or a.
You're talking about Black Widow?
No, I'm talking
how,
about.
No, but how
I'm
Marvel
talking about
made
like
the
a standalone.
decisions.
It was a platform of decision making to this point. And it's like, why did it take this long to get here, or even a Captain Marvel or what have you? It's weird that it took that long.
I won't say I was a big fan of the Captain Marvel movie, and this is not what we're talking about, but I will say that I think, me personally, I automatically buy into female characters doing anything like any superheroic version of a female character. I feel the stakes are higher.
Yeah.
Like, and I know I'm the one doing that. It's in my head.
Sure.
I'm baking so much more in. So I always find them more impactful. So when you started to see Black Widow embedded into the Avengers movies, I kept saying, that's the movie I want to see. The way we were introduced to her, that's the movie I want. And I kept thinking that throughout, you pick a series of movies that are going on. Like, why can't we have a female character, female-centered movie that aims at young men that's not sexualized, like Mad Max with Charlize Theron, right?
Yeah.
Like that, a
Amazing.
character who's just cool and badass, and you feel somehow the stakes of even what's going on outside of the movies.
Right, and I think that there's that very fine line when done correctly. It's not a female doing male things per se. It is or she's awesome because she's badass because she's doing these things that are otherwise male. Like the fact that Charlize Theron's character in Mad Max Fury Road was dealing with the rape and abuse of these other women in this action movie and setting aside, Mad Max, this crazy guy. That was genius, is storytelling and that whole thing. And or even the issues that Wonder Woman is dealing with in the movie. Now I think if you really dug deep in there, is a bit of an odd decision making in the middle of the movie when she, how do they handle her love story in there? It's because you have to have that in some way, shape, or form. But
it's a movie.
It's a movie, so it's difficult. But I think that Fury Road really nailed it. It was really good in terms of a total sidestep there.
This is what's happening in my head. I'm even thinking, are we allowed to talk about these things and say these things? Are we saying something wrong? Are we saying something insensitive? Are we saying something stupid?
I'm sure that somebody could easily pick up like a dozen things that I've even said or implied or thought out loud in this whole episode and go, that guy's a blah, blah, blah freak because
I know, it's so... I wanted to collect Wonder Woman. I wanted to get into it. I wanted to read
Why
it.
do I feel guilty for liking Frank Cho's art?
It's not guilt. It's the technique is amazing. And, all the things that you can say you like about it. And then it's sexual.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and as a cisgendered guy, I'm going, there are certain things attractive about, I don't know.
We're going over the same ground again and again.
It's hard not to.
So I guess what we're saying is,
it's complicated.
Covrprice has allowed us to look back at the start of Wonder Woman, at the things that we can't afford.
Yeah.
And as you look at and I keep clicking, sorry about that. As you look at the later Wonder Womans that I've been pulling in, you can start collecting like crazy. You can have beautiful covers. You can read the stories, and you can think about looking for this coding if you care about it. If you don't, look at the art and enjoy it. When you have some male writers who are obviously doing their best to try to not have male gaze or male perspectives, they're trying to do their best work. It's interesting to read that. It's interesting to find out what sorts of things emerge. And then when you have those runs where female writers are writing them, that's interesting as well. So I recommend more people start looking at Wonder Woman. Very collectible, very achievable, and I've been enjoying it. And there's a bunch here. I'll just reach over. There's a bunch here that I was grabbing. And look at this, Isaac. I even found with our own Conan.
Oh yeah, there you
Wonder
go.
Woman and Conan.
That was an interesting crossover. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe you didn't bring my favorite one out of that though, where they did the recreate of the Frank Frazetta cover from the Conan novels.
I know. I screwed up.
Well,
you can only do so much.
Yeah, you can't.
Listen, it's been a rambling episode.
I apologize for all of the offensive things.
I just don't know if we did or not. If we did, let us know. And we are just trying to catch the wave. We're trying to catch the Wonder Woman vibe before the movie comes out. Last thing I'll say, I think she's awesome in the movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I was going to like her in that.
I can't wait to see the new one.
Somehow she's captured the part.
Also,
all right.
Can't wait for COVID to be over.
Can't wait to go to a movie theater again.
That would be nice.
Thank you for listening to two white male straight guys running their mouths, trying to say things that aren't stupid. We're here on Key Issue. And special thanks to Covrprice for letting us know how much it costs to catch these titles that we want and how much it will cost to catch the ones we can't afford.
I wish I had $500,000 that we could afford to buy these comics. But that's what I would do with $500,000. I would just buy that comic.
He would not do that. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Peace out.